Our job isn't to push people to challenge or push a certain thing. It's actually about sitting with people's experiences first, and then what do they need as an individual? What does the family need?
Yeah, we want to help people to have the relationships that they want with their family. So sometimes that's a closer relationship, sometimes it's more distant, and some boundaries need to come into play. So
My name is Stuart Cheverton, and I am the owner of Safe Place Therapy. And before we get stuck in, I do want to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land in which we meet today. And these are the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. And I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Yeah, let's kick in. I guess we're recording this kind of after the school holiday period, where different kind of family events are happening, and clients. I know for myself, clients come to me worried about going to Christmas or a function, or even dare I say, just being around their family, their kids, and the worries associated with that. I wonder what that's like having a client come to you with that kind of issue.
So I think particularly at this time of year, there's this kind of perception that we should be having a big, happy family Christmas, and everybody should be getting along well together. A lot of families, there are kind of relational issues between members, sort of external pressure of this sort of happy time of year, I think kind of puts a lot of pressure on people.
Yeah, and I guess to maybe the tension between trying to pretend everything's okay and show up for the family, but also maybe internally feeling quite yucky, quite shit in some of the real issues they've been holding onto for a long time, or grappling with those two things.
Yeah. And a common one that I see in that sort of realm is with sort of emerging adults who might have different kind of lifestyle choices than their family, and that kind of sense of judgment that they might feel from their family, and that can be really difficult at times like Christmas or celebrations, and it can be difficult to kind of navigate that transition into adulthood, where people are making their own choices about the way they want to live their life, and how much involvement they want from their family.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of ruptures then you have had come to you. What some of those topics that are hard for people to talk with their family about.
So a pretty kind of common one is a childhood sense of feeling let down, or like the parent didn't do enough for them, or didn't see them as a child, or there was some kind of suffering that they endured as a result of what they perceive to be, their parents' behaviour. So, those resentments can kind of fester if they're not aired, and sometimes that just involves like an open conversation, and sometimes an apology. Look, I'm really sorry that was your experience. I didn't mean for it to be that way for you.
Yeah. And yeah, I think there's kind of a generational or different view of how to parent, talking about emotions. And I'm wondering, just on that specific topic, and I guess this flows through, how do you deal with those kind of different generational ideas, or even the idea of talking about emotions in a family?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. So many different things affect our sort of emotional literacy, don't they? And these days, I think we're so much more, the general public is so much more kind of across, emotions and popular psychology and kind of terminology. whereas probably a generation back things weren't talked about as openly.
Yep.
And then we've got further kind of complications in, like, families where perhaps the younger generation were born in Australia, the generation before that might have been born in a different country with a different set of ideas around mental health. So it's complex. It's So that's why I like to sort of meet with both people to sort of get their understanding of the situation, and also a sort of gauge of how emotionally literate they are as well. How comfortable they are talking about emotions.
And similar to relationship counselling, I guess, think to, I guess, before we kind of dig any further, we at Safe Place Therapy put kind of safety first in terms of not pushing people to come to counselling if they feel that is unsafe, or even further, pushing a difficult conversation with someone if that too feels unsafe. So just want to kind of throw that out there at the outset. And often too, an individual might come to us first, exploring these issues, exploring kind of their experience, and that by itself can be really helpful.
Yeah, because family are often kind of triggers of our trauma, and sometimes when we're kind of interacting with family, we can kind of fall through that trauma trapdoor where we kind of we're going along on one plane, and then we're down the trapdoor, and we've got the same thoughts and feelings as we had back in the day, even though we're in the present time. So I think sometimes after a family event, being able to make sense of those kind of thoughts and feelings and separate what belongs to now and what belongs to a previous injury that's occurred somewhere along the way.
Yeah, and I think we're already dabbling in it, but kind of good to be clear that we're talking about the different issues that maybe an individual client might have coming around their family, but broadening that out to different issues that a whole family or even a part of family might come to start talking about. So that's good to get that ball rolling. I guess the other flag is kind of cultural awareness too, of respecting elders, or this idea of a family tie being super, super close, and your identity is in family. And again, our job isn't to push people to challenge or push a certain thing. It's actually about sitting with people's experiences first, and then what do they need as an individual? What does the family need to work better?
Yeah, we want to help people to have the relationships that they want with their family. So sometimes that's a closer relationship, sometimes it's more distant, and the boundaries need to come into play. So there's no one size fits all for how families function. It's about kind of working with the individual to think about what they want things to look like.
Yeah, that's a good point. And maybe that's also a presumption people have of, I go to family therapy to fix it, to be closer, to be heard, lovey-dovey, we're all sitting around the campfire. But it actually might be more about, I can't talk to this family member alone because it feels too much, or my trauma is being triggered here. I need that facilitation, someone that is safer to help guide or give a process.
And that's very much like the role of a family therapist is around the actual kind of process, not so much the content, because people are obviously kind of rights to kind of say what they want to say in the session, but to maintain that sort of emotional temperature in the room to make sure things don't become too heightened, that both parties or several parties have space to be heard.
And to go back to those famous families, the Trumps, the Kardashians, the what have yous, the disparity of yuckness and the grossness that might explode in raging fights and horribleness. But I guess the other extreme too, in coldness in a family, where nothing's talked about, or there's a taboo to talk about how you feel, and clients really don't have a template often to talk.
So I think that's a good kind of clue whether you might benefit from family therapy, is whether you feel like you need some help with the process. You can't do what you want to do yourself with your family. You need a third party involved.
And that might be starting off in an individual session to understand, and we might double a little bit in terms of your process in starting family therapy. But the framework, or normalizing that the issues happen, but here's how you take steps forward together. Okay.
And what I would tend to do is to kind of talk to the person who initiates who makes the phone call to the office, who's interested in family therapy. I would talk to them first, and then if they wanted to bring a different party to therapy, I would talk to them individually first as well. So they've both kind of had chance to get to know me one-to-one, and they know I can be like a neutral party in the joint session. And it's often not always the whole family as well. It may be that a rupture has occurred between two particular members, so I might work with them first, and then we might sort of branch out into how that's impacted other family members. And
we're not trying to push anyone to agree.
No.
We're not pushing anyone to, jump camp, so to speak, and play. So yes, not to play the happy families, but even further than that is, it's okay not to budge, but it's important on giving space and allowing family members and people to feel heard.
Yeah, and often that's what causes like a feeling of discomfort at a family event, isn't it? If you feel like you're holding on to something that you haven't been able to express to your family, but he's presenting this kind of everything's great, we're a happy family kind of narrative, which isn't your experience. There's a disconnect there, isn't there?
I wonder how much you draw on your own experience in family therapy. I wonder, is there some kind of helpful, hey, like this helps me, or just to kind of help kind of older generations, not calling you old, sorry, but I guess kind of some self-disclosure that really helps people feel normalized and feel like, this is common. This happens for lots of people.
And quite often I will tell, especially when working with kind of young people, quite often I'll give a little anecdote about times I've been tearing my hair out with my kids and stuff. So these are kind of normal kind of struggles.
Good. And it's no bad guy, right? Like, I think maybe often people feel maybe one of the hesitations of coming is, everyone will be on one side and then I'm the bad guy and I need to change and apologize.
Yeah, I recently had a case with like 3 siblings wanting to talk to dad, and I was very kind of conscious that dad wasn't going to feel in the hot seat, and then but it actually went really well. So I thought that was brave of him to. Because he wanted to have a good relationship with his children, so he wanted to hear what they had to say. So, but it was my role to kind of make that a comfortable space for him as well.
Good. And those gaps or not knowing creates a divide between family members, especially if one side feels like they should get it, or come and grow up, or the times have changed, or that resentment or that yuckiness coming from one side can feel really heavy and make people feel even maybe, dare I say, defensive or more stuck in that position. Yeah.
And it can also involve, triangulations with other people as well. Come to my side and believe my perception of the situation. So you get these sort of alliances in families as well,
Yeah.
which become complicated to unpick a little bit.
How do you make it less messy, Jo?
I think it's about just hearing everybody's perspective and encouraging people to reflect on how they formed their point of view. Did it come from them, or did it come from something somebody else in the family said? Are they their own feelings, or are they their feelings on behalf of someone else? So I really encourage people to use I statements and talk about how they feel rather than trying to preempt how other people in the family might feel.
Yeah. And then those I statements do simplify because you're getting to the crux of how they feel and following that rather than the build up.
Yeah.
You mentioned too, the generational gap or a younger person feeling that they need to talk with their parent about a difficult childhood or difficult behaviours there. I wonder about kind of co-parenting. Is that something that comes up? Okay.
Yeah. I had a few kind of couples who are actively seeking advice. They've decided to end their relationship, but they want to kind of parent in a mindful way that's going to be in the best interests of the young person. So, how can they put aside their own relationship stuff to make good decisions on behalf of their, child?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty tough spot to be in for a lot of parents. Yeah.
Particularly if there is different parenting styles or, being very generic here, one parent being very strict and kind of firm on some things and the other one being much more flexible and fluid. How do you talk through that?
And those things are complex enough in a relationship that's kind of ongoing and actively talking through those things. Those things still happen between parents, but when there's a separation in parents and you can't kind of check in as regularly about those things, it's easier for parents to become quite polarized in those positions, like of being the strict one or being the lenient one. And obviously you can get a young person in the middle who thinks, I could play this to my advantage. I could tell mum that dad lets me stay on the iPad till 10, so it's really about those parents being able to communicate to kind of hold a boundary together.
Yeah, and even I think that's a good point that people who are in a relationship doing better together with parenting their young person. So, I think often people think that there has to be this really big drama or, a big clash or conflict. That maybe it's actually about we want to do better for our kids. We think really differently on this. Help.
Let's come to a kind of place of agreement where we can be consistent for our child. Getting on the front foot before things escalate.
And I think lots of people get surprised how many couples might come who are having their first child or their family backgrounds are different, where culturally, they might have a mother-in-law or a father-in-law who really wants to be part of the parenting, but the other side is like, well, this is our space. So many layers to that.
And I've got a few couples where those things start to pop up, usually around wedding planning. So you'll start to see who the players are in terms of who wants what to happen at the wedding, and those little struggles about who's wearing what and who's sitting where, and and they were a little clue that hopefully the couple can then come and work on how to manage the boundaries with the family to set them in good stead for further events, you know.
Funny story, when I got married, the celebrant, and I didn't even think about it, but thank goodness they brought it to my attention. They're like, who are the troublemakers, and where do we need to sit them, and how do we get through the night with them? And I'm like, there's definitely troublemakers, but I think it's important to have safety in the partnership, to air the yuckiness, you know, and that's not about being disrespectful. You know, obviously we're not just talking about wedding, we're talking about, you know, parenting, we're talking about the influence in the relationship, where sometimes, and this might sound controversial, sometimes that idea of respecting elders or respecting family members really stifles that openness of, hey, this is tricky for me.
Yeah, it's a tricky topic, isn't it? Because, you know, quite often people get into kind of situations with their parents where they might be politically misaligned and stuff, and it's like, what are you going to do if you can't change your dad's mind about politics, but you value your relationship with him? How do you sort of still maintain a relationship but sort of not get into strife over things that you disagree on, you know?
Can you actually agree not to talk about certain things? Like, is it okay to keep things separate? Or, as you said before, draw a boundary.
Let's not talk about that.
It's actually about helping the relationship, not pausing it or limiting it.
Because we don't have to agree with our family about everything, do we? We just need to be able to kind of have respect for differences as well.
And back to, I guess, grandparents or a certain family member or members wanting a certain engagement, but then they're often children or the younger generation wanting more independence, wanting to actually form their family. There must be some grief there, I guess.
Yeah, and there's often kind of grief from parents that their kids didn't turn out the way they're expecting them to. You know, I had this set of ideas that I wanted your life to look like, and it doesn't look like that, you know. So some sort of work around acceptance as well.
I guess we're peppering around different issues and different things that people could have. And we mentioned before a sign, if you feel that there's not a template to talk through or things that aren't being talked about as a sign to come to family therapy. Any other signs come to mind where it's like, oh, maybe there's a need here?
I think sometimes it's about teaching people to talk in a different way with each other. So rather than no, you're wrong, what it is, you know, it's about that kind of, you know, I heard what you said, and what you said was this. What I actually think is this, you know, and sort of layering the conversation so it's not an argument, it's an exchange of ideas. And in some families, that just doesn't happen naturally. People don't talk to each other in a way that kind of is respectful to one another. They sort of shout each other down or dismiss each other, or mock. Sometimes there's mocking as well, you know. So often it's just kind of modelling a different way of communicating. And we might still disagree on major things, but we're more respectful of one another in our communication.
Because at the heart of every parent, family member, you know, hopefully there is this need to feel close, to feel connected. Sometimes some family members don't allow that for certain reasons, whether it be safety, whether it be other reasons. But if you can facilitate respectful conversation and everyone can see that happening, that goes a long way. I think then people kind of listening and watching I wonder if they're sitting with that yuckiness of wanting to reach out but unsure how their family's going to react. What would you kind of suggest to them?
I guess, a nice way to kind of talk to a family member about this might be, I feel like we could make some improvements in our relationship. I feel like I would like to have a better relationship with you, and I would like to get some help for us to do that. So to frame it in a positive way, not in a you did this, that, and the other, and but this is what I would like us to have.
Yeah. Because I think framing it that way, some people might not see that the other family member is also maybe, a safe guess, maybe really struggling with how to deal with them. Like it's a similar, maybe different tension, but tension of I don't know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I scream at you, I shout at you, I stamp my feet a little bit, and it just stays there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something in our relationship, so externalizing the space between something in our relationship's not working, it's not you, it's not me, it's something between us that we need some help to work out.
And it's so funny, and people do chuckle at this, how much the parent might actually see themselves in the young person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that stubbornness or even maybe determination that might even make them more, I guess, concerned or worried what might play out if that trait continues.
And then, I think so maybe starting the conversation like that, and then that one person coming to see me, and then I can get to know the next person as well, and then obviously I keep all parties involved and informed about what's going to happen next, and it's a very sort of managed, safe process. We're not just going to shove everybody in a room and get the camera rolling and it's not like that at all.
It's got to feel safe. It's got to, of course there's going to be some discomfort. It's a new environment. Maybe people haven't been to counselling before, but there's a guided approach here so people know what to expect, and it's even okay to keep certain things off limits at the start.
And usually, when I speak to people, we'll have an idea of the kind of topics that they want to cover in the session, and we don't generally sort of bring in everything all at once. It'll be quite a specific sort of list, structure.
Yeah, so no kind of hidden skeletons or...
No, it's not like a sort of, drama, reality TV thing. Not really adept.
No. I think when we're wanting a different relationship, there is some vulnerability, some courage there. But also too, if there is this real need to have a boundary or even have that separation or space, that can be actually an end point in family therapy or individual or couples therapy, where people might need that time to go away and process, or this is the kind of relationship we need right now, and we come back to something different down the track.
And I always think that is better than a complete cut-off, because a complete cut-off, all communication's gone, there's no kind of chance of improving things. Whereas if we can put some boundaries in place that bring down the distress, at least the lines of communication stay open and give that kind of opportunity to progress things slowly.
I guess one more presentation before we finish up is similar to, hey, mum, dad, or parents, here's this childhood stuff that I want to explore with you. I'm wondering how you help facilitate that conversation, but also encourage kind of personal therapy that might need to be a bit separate, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think often it's better if somebody's doing their individual therapy with somebody else, and then they come to me for family work, and then I can support the family.
Yeah.
That keeps it separate. I don't tend to like to do individual therapy and then bring people's family members in, because it feels like they're on the back foot,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think to keep that individual work separate.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking about kind of childhood trauma and stuff, it's not just the the person who was a child at the time. Often it brings up stuff that the parents were going through at the time that the child maybe didn't know about, and there's all kinds of cautions that we need to.
Yeah. And even just hearing that context, or that parent at that younger age could be helpful in building some understanding. It's not excusing bad behavior or bad patterns. Yeah. I think we've talked about a lot today in terms of different families that come see you, either as an individual or as a family, and some of the things that maybe viewers might be going through that they want to come chat about, which is great. But I guess to the layers and concepts that are important to cover in family therapy, so people feel safe to do it, and they've got concepts and ways of talking through stuff. Great kind of tying all that together. Beautiful. So if you are kind of listening and tuning in, and you think that there are some trickiness that is hard to talk about, please reach out to Safe Place Therapy. We are here for the community in many different ways, and it's so great to have you, Joe, on the team doing family therapy, because not many clinics, not many therapists do it. And I think it's awesome that you love that space. It's not just something you do because you have to. It's
my favourite. Yeah.
Great. So yeah, reach out to our team, Safe Place Therapy, and please take care for now.